So I sold everything.
Hello, my name is Jacob Toddson, and 2 years ago I sold nearly everything I own in order to travel the ancient world and explore more about the religions of the past. But after all of this adventure, I have to admit I have grown quite tired, and things are calling me back to the United States. And that is why in this video, I'm reporting to you from within my new apartment here in the United States, where we're going to be discussing a little bit of my journey. But don't worry, this video isn't just going to be about my adventures. This video is going to be hopefully helpful to you because we're going to be talking about the hero's journey, something that was outlined by Joseph Campbell in his work, A Hero with a Thousand Faces. The hero's journey really is the blueprint for life and the blueprint of the hero and your own life and your destiny and really the meaning of life. And so in this video, we're going to be discussing the multiple stages of the hero's journey, what it looks like, what to expect, my personal experiences with the hero's journey, and how you can start taking those first steps into becoming the best version of yourself, retrieving the elixir of life, finding your purpose, and all the other different ways it's called. So we have a lot to talk about in this video, but also in general, it just serves as a way for me to reflect because I have not been in an apartment to film in over 2 years. And so this is also very surreal for me. So thank you so much for joining me for this video. I hope you enjoy it and I hope it's helpful to you. So I want to jump right into this conversation on the hero's journey. And the way we're going to do this is I'm just going to outline the many different steps that are within Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. Now, it's important to remember that Joseph Campbell, while he's the one that kind of coined the hero's journey as an idea, it's something, again, that goes back really far into time, in particular with the adventures of Odysseus within the Odyssey, which is where a lot of the reference material comes from Joseph Campbell's work. And the reason that the hero's journey is important is because it really does outline the spiritual journey. And more than likely, the reason you watch my channel is because you're into some form of paganism, or you're into some form of spirituality, or self-development, or connection to history, and all of this is wrapped into the hero's journey. So let me just go ahead and go through the many different steps of the hero's journey, and then we'll discuss a little bit of what each one means. First, there's the departure, which is comprised of 5 different steps. There's the call to adventure, the refusal of the call, supernatural aid, the crossing of the first threshold, and then the belly of the whale. Afterwards, there's initiation, which is comprised of 6 additional steps, including the road of trials, the meeting with the goddess, woman as the temptress, atonement with the father, apotheosis, and the ultimate boon. Then there's the return journey comprising of 6 additional steps, being the refusal of the return, the magic flight, rescue from without, the crossing of the return threshold, the master of the 2 worlds, and the freedom to live. Now you're going to see a lot of different diagrams of the hero's journey, and you're going to see a lot of different interpretations and different steps, but this is to me the complete list. Now, if you listen to any other podcast or discussions on the hero's journey, you're going to hear a lot of references to movies and other mythologies because it's something that is at the blueprint of most stories. You can see it within Star Wars, you can see it within Batman and in Lord of the Rings. In fact, you can see it within multiple characters, within multiple stories, or within a singular story. I'm going to take a sip of my tea here. Now, I didn't plan on doing a plug here, but I just realized while doing this and looked over. The Glass of Taurus, my book I just wrote, It really is the hero's journey. There's a descent, there's a call to adventure, there's crossing the threshold, there's trials, there's suffering, and then retrieving the true self, the true gift. And so yeah, that's all here in this book. If you want to check it out, it's over 400 pages. It involves a lot of fictional-based stories on things that actually happened to me. And so if you're interested in picking up this book, learning some about the hero's journey within it, and supporting this channel in the process, it truly helps so very much. So I feel bad for doing a plug in this, but I mean, truly, it's the hero's journey. Anyways, let's get back to this conversation on the hero's journey. But if you're interested in checking this out, please check out the Glastonbury Tourist, my version of the hero's journey. But for the sake of the viewer in this video, I want to look back. Over the last 5 years, I've received a lot of messages, in particular about paganism, obviously, and people talking about the first step of the hero's journey, which is the call to adventure. And this is oftentimes the awakening, when people realize that there's more to this world than Christianity or more than atheism, that there is some form of spiritual world, and people become connected to that. They feel the gods, they feel the spirits, they feel the ancestors, and it wakes them up. But because we've lost a lot of our wisdom keepers in this world, we don't know what to do with this awakening, and so we oftentimes ignore it. And ignoring that awakening can lead to us into a period of depression or anxiety because we don't know what to do with the call. Now, I took the adventure quite a bit more literally. I mean, I literally went on an adventure. But one of the things that is stressed by a lot of Joseph Campbell's acolytes, so to speak, and the people who study Joseph Campbell, is that the hero's journey doesn't have to be taken so literally. You can be on a hero's journey as a parent or as someone without children who is living in an apartment, someone who doesn't have a home, someone who is on any walk of life. There's a hero's journey within it. And you can go on multiple hero's journeys within your own lifetime as well. I feel like I've gone on a couple hero's journeys, the last one just being the biggest. And I'm sure I'll go through it again. I'm very young. And so I think it's just really important to note that your hero's journey is going to look different than mine. It could blueprint off of mine a little bit, but everyone's hero's journey is going to be slightly different with slightly different characters. But when you look back on your journey at the end of it, you're going to realize so much of it ties to the different steps outlined by Joseph Campbell with some slight variations. So let's look at those next two steps and that initial call. Next, you have the refusal of the call. You're like, I'm crazy. This isn't happening. I'm not talking to deities. I'm not on a spiritual experience. I'm not meant to do these things. And I find that this is very common. I see a lot of people, that's usually when they message me, especially when I was really into talking to people on Instagram before I had, over 100,000 people. When I had just like 4,000, every single person I try to get back to, like, yeah, let me help you out. And so many people, it was that denial of what did I just experience? This wasn't real. And so what do I do with it? Luckily, the next thing is you get the supernatural aid. You often have another experience that kind of solidifies it for you. I had that myself. I started questioning the gods, questioning paganism, spirituality. I was like, none of this is real. Give me a sign. And I called for a sign, and something happened. And I was like, holy shit, this is real. And I've heard this story time and time again. People questioning the gods, questioning the spirituality, questioning the self, and then all of a sudden you're given that response that you realize that this is real. And then this is where everything falls apart, because the next step is crossing the first threshold. And I have talked to so many different people on their own hero's journey that this is where they get stuck. Because oftentimes what happens is when you cross that first threshold, everything falls apart. Because oftentimes when you're woken up and you're shown the other side, shown the path to the true self, it's absolutely horrifying, because you are asked to give something up. You are asked to sacrifice. And this is why I absolutely love Odin as a deity, because Odin really encapsulates the hero's journey because of the ideas of sacrifice. Now, the problem is within modern paganism, I think we've lost this identity of Odin. A lot of people say, oh, he's just this fluffy, loving god. This is absolutely not true. Odin represents the hero's journey. He represents sacrifice. He represents wisdom, what you gain from that sacrifice. And it's going to be hard. I will never tell anyone worshiping Odin is easy. If you want to have a nice, easy deity, worship Thor, worship Freyr, worship Freya. They will teach you lovely lessons, but they will not be as harsh as Odin is oftentimes. And I'm sure there's going to be people that disagree with me, but to me, Odin represents the hero's journey, and part of the hero's journey is suffering, because you're going to have to sacrifice something. Odin sacrificed an eye. He hung from the world tree. He fasted. He starved, all to achieve knowledge. And if you're going to go on a hero's journey, you need to understand that rebirth and change and evolution, these are all painful things. but what comes through the other side is the true self, is the gift you're meant to give the world, and a greater understanding. And this is what Odin was seeking. This is within Odin's story, is you're going to change. The person you are when you left for the journey is not going to exist in the same way when you come back. If you want to be the same person at the start of your hero's journey, as the end, you're not on the hero's journey, or you shouldn't go on it. The hero's journey is change, and oftentimes that change comes with suffering, pain, but in the end, you're going to be so glad you went through it, and you're going to be stronger for it. But that's where we come to crossing the first threshold, because the first threshold is that first moment of suffering where you're like, oh no, I have to do this. And then you're either going to do it or you're going to not. There is a third option, is that you stay in the middle and you stay there and you don't take the leap of faith, but you also don't go back into the life you knew before. You know, it's kind of like the blue or the red pill situation, right? I mean, again, here we have the Matrix is a great example of the hero's journey. Is you have the blue pill, the red pill. Choose whether or not you want to wake up and begin this path. But you do have to make that choice. And if you exist there and you stare Morpheus in the face and you refuse to take one of these pills, you're going to exist in this limbo world. This limbo world will have anxiety and depression, and you're never going to be able to fully exist in one world or the other. Now, you can argue that once you see the Matrix, once you see the reality, there is no going back. There is no descending back into the self. And this is the blue pill, which represents blissful ignorance. And that, you know, you're forgetting, like, nope, I don't see the call to adventure. I don't see the path to my true self. I'm going to just simply exist within the Matrix. I'm going to exist within the machine. The hero's journey, the red pill, this is the awakening. And you're not going to be able to go back. Now, that last step, the departure and the separation, is the belly of the whale. And this is when you decide to fully commit to it. And for me, this was selling everything. When I decided to go on this journey, I saw that path. I saw my red or blue pill moment. And basically, it was like, you need to make a change. If you're going to fully commit to this Odinic life, if you're going to fully commit to this wandering idea, you need to do it. And I had been wanting to do it for a while. I've been seeing the signs, receiving the signs that I needed to go on an adventure, and I needed to live an Odinic life and answer that call. And let me tell you, going from someone who had basically never left the US, someone with a very limited worldview, to someone living out of a suitcase in a couple-month period, I felt like I was in the belly of the whale. I mean, the amount of anxiety and fear I had right before I fully committed, right before I was on that plane to Scotland for the first time, going to my first month-long rental Airbnb in a place I never lived in a place in a new country with absolutely no idea what I was doing. Yeah, I was terrified. I was in the belly of the whale. And it's not like I arrived in Scotland and everything was great. It was like there was a Buddhist on a mountain in Scotland saying, "Hey, look at that little ginger shit. I'm gonna teach you enlightenment." No, that doesn't happen. What happens next is the trials. So I think I'm going to kind of cut this off here at this first step, at this first part, which is answering the call, which is crossing that first threshold, taking that leap of faith, and diving into it. And so you just need to figure out what that is for you. And so if you felt that call, felt the call of the gods, felt the call to adventure, figure out what that is for you, and figure out what that crossing of the thirst threshold is, and then you just need to embrace it. And that has been one of my biggest lessons when it comes to the hero's journey, is embracing fear and embracing the struggle of life and so many different rites and rituals of the past, of the shamanic cultures, of the indigenous peoples. They are not pleasant ones. They are ones that are about embracing fear, about ones that are going to struggle and learning the lessons. And so that first teacher along the way is going to be that first jump. I've been given this gift to be able to share my true self with you, to share my journey with you, and share my lessons along the way. And so that's what I'm back here to do. That's what I'm back in the States to do, is to make content, and not just content, but share my story, help you out, help you find your true self so that you can then turn around and share it more with the world. Because ultimately, this is how we change the planet. By having people enter this hero's journey, by people finding the true selves, and then helping other people find their true selves and connect more to the ancestors, connect more to the gods along the way, connect more to the spirits and belief. This is how we're going to change the world. And one of the big things with that is here in Cincinnati, where I'm living now, it's where my family lives because I wanted to be close to my family. In fact, I was born only 20 miles to here because, again, hey, the hero's journey, you're supposed to go back home. And so here I am, back to where I was born. And so one of the things I'm doing here in Cincinnati, if you live locally in the area, is I'm starting a monthly healing circle, essentially. We're going to be doing drum ceremonies, we'll be doing sharing circles, and some minor rituals as well. It's open to any belief. Obviously, I come from more of the pagan background, but I'm making it in a way that's open to anyone, because everyone should have access to this hero's journey of any background, of any belief, any ideology. Everyone should be allowed to go on the hero's journey because this is, again, how we're going to heal and how we're going to change the world. So with that, thank you so very much. Make sure you subscribe and all that good stuff, because clearly I'm not going anywhere, and I'm going to continue to make content about the ancient world, the hero's journey, all of this. I want you to live an incredible life. I want to talk more about the old stuff. I like old stuff. I got turkey feathers here. Anyways, thank you so much. My name is Jacob Toddson. This has been the Wisdom of Odin, and I can't wait to see you in the next video here discussing the ancient ways and how they still survive today.